So certainly some dramatic shots, but let's talk about what's happening on the St. Johns River. We're not talking about it rising in a big way. Primarily, we're talking about with some pretty big surf, actually waves. And initially, as the hurricane was here, winds were strong coming right up the river, and that's why Memorial Park in Riverside, which faces south, had the biggest waves, had the biggest splash over. Then as the hurricane went more off to the north and our winds came out of the southwest, then the waves, the surf and now hitting the San Marco area, especially there on River Road, because that faces more off to the west and to the southwest. But now the winds are going to come out of the west and to the northwest, and that's one of the reasons why, although it's still gusty, those waves will decrease. So yes, we've had high enough winds to actually have a wave forecast on the St. Johns. But here it is now, a tropical storm. Tropical storm force winds, though. You know, this is an example of, as a system weakens, it doesn't necessarily decrease in size, especially if there's still warm water nearby. So it came out of the warm waters of the Gulf, but that's one of the reasons why very often tropical cyclones in Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas take a while to weaken, because then as it heads in some form or fashion to the east, it starts drawing energy off the warm ocean. And remember, the Atlantic Ocean also very warm this year. Even now sitting at about 85 to 87 degrees off of our waters. What we're drawing here, this is simply what we call the severe winds, winds of over 50 miles per hour, sustained of about 50 miles per hour. So this is where widespread still wind damage and power outage potential is. We're simply under the tropical storm force winds, and then as we go overnight and tomorrow, even the tropical storm force winds head away. That's why I'm saying by sunset, winds here in northeast Florida will drop below 40, a little bit longer for those of you over southeastern Georgia. Here's where the tropical storm will be tomorrow morning at 2. That's Myrtle Beach, and then heading offshore and so away. Heavy rains, yeah, they're out of here all the while long. If you're with us a couple days ago, we told you this would be an unusual hurricane. That is the wettest weather actually off to the west and the northwest, and that's pretty much where it's been. And now, remember, we showed you the forecast of the tropical storm, and look at where the heavy rains off to the north and northwest of the system. Of course, that's where the catastrophic storm surge was, still possibly about 1 to 3 feet over Camden and southeastern Georgia. So we're going to watch the high tide for you, but I don't think the high tide this evening, even in southeast Georgia, will be as bad as this morning's. That's enough of this storm. How about if we talk about Labor Day? Well, Lee Southwick's going to check that out for you.
Yeah, let's look forward to something nice. So overnight tonight, yes, we'll be watching those tides with the super blue moon, but we'll have gradual clearing. It will still be windy tonight. Those wind gusts dropping from around 50, especially for those of you up in Georgia, down to around 20 for your gusts. Sustained winds, you can see as we head through the overnight hours, slowly starting to calm down. Gusts still hanging out or around 20 miles an hour, especially for those of you in our Georgia counties. But then as we head into tomorrow morning, again, starting to calm down. Winds will be out of the west and then switch to come out of the northeast at 15 miles an hour. And tomorrow we do have a 40% chance of rain, high of 90, so it will be hot tomorrow. I think during the day we're going to stay mostly dry. It's not until the evening we start to see some showers and thunderstorms ramp up, and then we'll continue to see that activity potentially overnight tomorrow and into our Friday. Actually, Friday has the highest rain chance. We're going with a 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms. High of 88 degrees. I have good news, though, for the long holiday weekend. Look how those rain chances drop. 20% on Saturday, 10% down to Sunday and Monday. So Labor Day looking good. High of 89. It will be hot. We're going to get hotter into the middle of next week.